You know, every time I make a video like this, I feel like I'm throwing like a brick from inside of a bunker, like in the Middle East at the US, okay? Like when I throw shade at a YouTuber this much bigger than me, I feel like I'm really just asking for trouble. But you guys know me. I live for the heat of chaos, okay? If this person sends their fans after me as a response to this or in some way, or it doesn't really have to even be them sending their fans. Naturally, just me calling them out, their fans are going to come dunk on me. But, you know, the best times in this channel are always the ones in which I have shit tons of people who don't like me coming into the chat to be brought in to debate me and get destroyed in front of all you guys for content. So if it happens, then it happens. Anyway, Optimus. All right, Optimus, pretty large YouTuber. He does commentary content. Generally, most of his content that he makes, I really don't find it all that disagreeable. Like, really, I mean, most of his content's fine. I don't dislike the guy. I have no bias against him whatsoever. I will admit he did make a video shitting on me once because of a admittedly poorly worded clip of mine. I will say that. It was poorly worded on my part. But I really don't have any, like, bad blood or hatred for Optimus or anything like that. However, Optimus put out a video about the M&M shit, okay? Not M&M as in Marshall Mathers, but M&M as in the candy, okay? And this has been a conservative meltdown topic for the last couple days. I don't know if Optimus is going to come out here with like a good take or something. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but we're going to go ahead and see what our boy has to say about this M&M bullshit and just really find out what's going on. I really don't know much about the M&M drama. I haven't really even looked into it. This is going to be my first real sort of introduction to it. So, you know me, I never pre-watch videos before like watching them on stream. Like very rarely do I ever do that. So, you know, it's always right off the cuff for me, okay?
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we are going to be talking about M&Ms because there's been a lot of controversy around some pretty recent news out of the company that they will be redesigning some of the animated M&M characters a little bit to be more quote-unquote progressive and inclusive for their consumers. This created controversy because obviously a lot of people were upset with the idea. They thought that it was just a marketing scheme basically to appeal to people for virtue signaling and acting as if they're more progressive than they actually are and things like that. And it seems like it sparked a little bit of a debate. In fact, M&Ms actually started trending on Twitter because of this.
Okay. Here's the issue, all right? True so far? Yeah, so here's the issue with that, okay? When I hear conservatives sometimes, like, almost make the right argument when they point out that like, corporations only do the progressive virtue signaling to make money, and they complain about it, and it's like, okay, yeah, like, they are really only doing it to make money. Like, it is just progressive virtue signaling in order to market towards a, you know, more progressive audience, because that's more financially, you know, it's just best, like a better financial decision for these companies, right? To show more for progressive-leaning people. And conservatives will complain about this, but they never, ever complain about it when companies do shit like this that has nothing to do with anything that's politically charged. They always have a problem with it when companies like will like shill to LGBT people, like some, like, you know, virtue signaled support. Like, they get angry about that, and they'll say it's disingenuous about that. But then, like, when a company puts out any commercial, basically, or does anything that's, like, really shitty, they'll super cherry pick what they give a fuck about and what they don't, right? Like, for example, conservatives online and, like, reactionaries in the gaming community have been trying to make excuses. I mean, we literally covered, what's his name? Eric July. What's his YouTube name? His real name's Eric July, but he goes by a different... Young Rippa 59, I think his name is. Yeah, Young Rippa 59 literally made a video defending the people at Blizzard that the state of California was suing for sexual harassment. I feel like I don't need to go too into detail on the Blizzard stuff because it's so well known, like literally everyone on the internet is aware of it, but like legitimately to the extent of like male employees doing drunken like cube crawls where they're drunkenly partying, going from like cube to cube, harassing working employees, mostly women who are working employees. And there was a breast milk thief. There was a motherfucker out there who was stealing breast milk from like nursing mothers that was in the like the company fridges. There was a motherfucker out there stealing breast milk, okay? And there is no good reason to be stealing, Homelander moment, true. There's no good reason to be stealing breast milk, okay? And I'm not accusing Optimus of being one of those people. I know this is like a massive extrapolation here, and I'm kind of like I'm sort of like projecting a lot of ideas, a lot of beliefs onto Optimus here. But I mean, like, broadly, from people with the general ideas that Optimus seems to agree with, I always hear people complain about the disingenuous support and virtue signaling that companies will do to try to make money, like when it comes to shilling for like LGBT people. But companies will engage in child slavery. They'll engage in like all sorts of like evil practices. I say evil. Sorry, in horrible practices like Amazon shit like that, and they won't fucking bat an eye. You never hear them complain about this shit. How often do you hear gamer bros on the internet complain about like these companies putting gay characters in games is just to make money, as opposed to like Amazon workers are having to piss in bottles? Okay, like it's because it's a politically charged issue. They care so much. Okay, that's why they care so much specifically about this topic. It's because it's politically charged.
Entire situation. There was, I think, 11,000 tweets last time that I looked, and a lot of media sources are also starting to pick up on it. In fact, the article we're about to be taking a look at and reading here is from Business Insider. So here in a second, we're going to take a look at the new M&M redesigns and see what all of the fuss is actually about with this entire story. Now, these are the characters that were basically popular before, but are, I guess, getting some sort of redesign here. So the most important, I guess, changes that were...
Two of the changes to these M&M characters that pissed so many conservatives off unironically had to do with changing the shoes that these two M&Ms were wearing. Unironically, that's where a lot of this drama came from. I feel like I'm not even going to try to predict what Optimus is going to say. Let's just listen for it.
Were even made really weren't about, you know, the colors of the M&Ms or like their faces or their personalities or anything like that. It was more or less the types of shoes that they were wearing. So apparently they're adding sneakers to a lot of this to kind of, I guess, draw in the fact that people are buying sneakers a lot more often. Now, obviously, like 30, 40 years ago, sneakers weren't really as popular as they are now. You can kind of wear sneakers anytime now, and it's pretty much widely accepted. Obviously, a lot of people, myself included, also collect sneakers. They're very popular.
Women,
I guess, phased out other types of shoes.
I think more so is in reference to like women wearing sneakers. I think like I think what they were going for, and to be fair, I think this is cringy as fuck, but I don't think it matters enough to like complain about. My understanding of it was that like the two M&M female characters were wearing like very stereotypical women's shoes, like high heels or something like that. And so the change was to put one of them in like sneakers, which is just a generally not very like, I mean, I've seen plenty of women wearing sneakers, but I guess like generally when you think like women's clothes, you don't think sneakers. You generally think like high heels or something, you know, some fancy shoes like that. And the other character, I think they gave like more wider, broader, lower platform, like high heel shoes. And that was like one of the changes that really pissed off the conservatives.
Especially for women. I guess women have been ditching shoes like high heels a lot in recent years in favor of shoes that are, I guess, more comfortable.
Understandable.
And more socially acceptable, like wearing, you know, tennis shoes or sneakers.
High heels look like they fucking suck.
This entire ad campaign has actually caused more controversy than the Mars company actually ever really anticipated. So I guess the problem with this advertising is the fact that they said they were trying to be more representative and inclusive and diverse, because those have become kind of buzzwords for a lot of different types of advertising now. Like I remember they made Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head like gender neutral or something like.
We're really going back, guys. We're really going back. I want to say this right now, okay? We're talking about M&Ms. We're talking about corporate M&M. We're talking about corporate mascots here, okay? Why are we getting upset about redesigns to corporate mascots? Isn't the company that makes M&Ms literally under a lawsuit for child labor right now? I forget what the name of the parent company is, but are they not literally under a lawsuit for child labor at this very moment? And nobody is talking about that because everyone can only give a fuck about fucking culture war bullshit, manufactured outrage. It's culture war shit. Listen, guys, I don't think you guys remember. Back in the day, obviously we're going back to it, but back in the Gamergate era, when the anti-SJW types ruled YouTube, everything was all about what the current culture war issue was, right? Was it manspreading? Was it fucking mansplaining? Was it feminism? SJW? Was it race realism that everyone was talking about? It just there was always a discourse, very similar to how there is now. There was always a discourse. There was always some crazy culture war narrative going on, and that was always what everybody was talking about and everybody was covering, and they all covered it in the same way, admittedly. More or less. Like, there was really not that much difference in you know, what was being said. And they all covered the same things because they were all a community of, you know, fairly like-minded people in that respect. And people ate it all up. And it was always over, like, not always, but a lot of the time, when it came to the culture war stuff, usually over pretty, like, inconsequential shit that ended up sort of having the effect of convincing a shit ton of people these very inconsequential events actually mattered a lot more than they really did. At least that's the effect that kind of content had on me, in many respects.
Like that, and a lot of people got upset about it, and there was a lot of it was a big subject of debate and everything, considering everything that happened. But this situation's a little bit different because I think the company actually overpromised in a way what they were doing. So if these are actually the final changes and these are the only things that have actually even been edited about these M&Ms, then there really isn't that big of a change. You know, when you hear something like, oh, we were changing these pieces of candy to be more representative and inclusive.
You know what would be like a much better dunk on M&Ms or like these companies and whatnot? Do you guys remember when Skittles, which are, you know, traditionally like a rainbow colored candy, like every Skittle is an individual color, and, you know, you get a big rainbow bag of Skittles, right? And they all have different flavors or whatever, right? Based on the color. During Pride Month, Skittles like turns them white. Like Skittles, they turn all the Skittles white or do a version of Skittles that's white for Pride Month. And, like, it's like, why? Why would you unrainbow the Skittles for Pride Month? That makes no sense. White pride, of course. True, that's the kind... Listen, they're celebrating Pride Month. It's just a different kind of pride.
Inclusive. It kind of plays on to the point that, like, I don't know, you're changing one of them to be gay or something like that, right? Because in a lot of movies and in a lot of commercials and advertising recently, a big thing that a lot of companies do is they'll take, like, one of the characters that was originally, like, straight or something, and they change the character and they give them, like, this new identity and stuff like that. And this usually upsets a lot of people.
Okay. The only, like, actual tangible example of this is, like, Dumbledore. This is not a thing that's, like, happening all the time, where characters are getting retroactively made gay, okay? This isn't a thing that happens all the time. This has happened, like, twice, and it's a meme. And now you've convinced yourself into thinking it's a prevalent thing that's happening, and people are getting upset about it on a even somewhat reasonable scale, proportional to how much it's happening.
I remember in the Ghostbusters franchise, like, they made one of the movies, they were all women, right? That was the whole thing, you know, it was supposed to be super inclusive, and it actually made the movie bomb. The movie failed.
Wait, them all being women made the movie bomb? Really? The movie being all women and being progressive and inclusive made the movie bomb? This is the thing, dude. Like, with these types of people, like the anti-SJW types, like, they'll, like, if a movie starring a white dude who is straight is bad, it's just a bad movie. But if a movie starring, like, non-white characters, LGBT characters, or, God forbid, female characters, if that movie is bad, then it's because they sacrificed their efforts to make a good narrative in exchange for putting forward some progressive idea. That's always the narrative that you hear from these people, whether it be a game or a movie, or a comic book, or a TV show, it doesn't matter. You always hear the same shit. The same shit going all the way back to 2014, the same narrative from 2014 to today. And I'm sure it goes back further than that. Xanderhal, this is literally a 2016 anti-SJW video. I feel like I just fucking time traveled. Guys, my predictions come true. I'm sorry, it just happens, okay? I don't miss.
And everyone was actually really upset about the change because it was deemed unnecessary, right? And that's kind of what's happening here, right? People are thinking that, like, the M&Ms are getting completely changed around, and that's not really the case here, right? It seems like they're all going to retain, like, their personalities and stuff, but Mars Wrigley, makers of the popular candy, have made subtle changes to the looks of the characters that appear in their ads, most notably replacing high heels for sneakers on one of the female characters and putting the other in a lower pair of heels. In a statement reported by CNN, Anton Vincent, president of Mars Wrigley North America, said its new look is designed to make the female characters more, quote...
Wait, hot take? Can I tell you guys what would have been a better all-female Ghostbusters story? Let me tell you how they could have done it. That would have been 100 times more effective. By the way, I want to say, like, the performance of the actresses who played the Ghostbusters in that movie were not bad. Like they're all like good, well-known, beloved actors, or actresses, I guess, or even actors. Yeah, like Chris Hemsworth was fucking in it too. Like all those actors and actresses were pretty well-known and beloved. I think it more had to do with the writing and the directing of that movie that caused it to be so fucking bad. It was so cringy. There was musicals in it. It was a fucking musical. There were musical numbers in that movie. Okay, in a fucking Ghostbusters movie. Clearly, that what made that movie bad had nothing to do with whatever progressive, pro-woman, I don't know, narrative that they were trying to push or whatever.
Representative of the consumer. It's a subtle cue, he said, but it's a cue people really pick up on. Insider reached out to Mars Wrigley for further comment, but did not immediately hear back. All right, this is the part that's actually pretty confusing to me, right? So, I don't know if it's just me, but I don't really care what type of shoes M&ms are wearing in the commercials. Like, let me tell you.
Okay. True. Okay? Nobody gives a shit. Really, nobody gives a shit about this. People on the left and the right, like, if you're on the left, or if you're just like a sensible person, your response to this should be like, okay, like, they're shilling for the gays. Okay, that's what companies do, I guess, now. But if you're like a reactionary, then your response is to get upset about it. Your response is to moralize, or to start a moral panic and get upset about essentially nothing. Something that in the grand calculus of how many horrible things these companies do really is just absolutely nothing. Also, I really want to point it out, okay? I don't care what M&ms are wearing. Okay, for one, you're making this video. You're talking about the drama. Clearly you and people who are somewhat aligned with your political stance care enough to get upset about these changes in the first place. There's a reason that this drama is happening, okay? Let's not pretend like no one cares, okay? Clearly you guys care about it. I never believe these like reactionary gamer bro types when they say I don't care about blank. They'll say things like, I don't care about the identity of the character that I play as in a video game. I don't care about I just want to hear a good story and have a main character that, sort of, that I like, right? That speaks to me in some way. And my thought is always, it's really easy to say, like, if you're like a white dude, if you're like a straight white dude who plays video games, chances are you're not exactly lacking in very much representation in the medium that you enjoy, right? Like generally, like most video game character protagonists are like dudes who are maybe somewhat representative or somewhat more relatable in terms of identity with most people in the demographic of gamers. Is that a bad thing? No, not making a moral judgment. It's just a simple fact. And that's why, like, you do see a lot more, like, people who are part of marginalized groups in the gaming community advocating for characters and just in media generally, advocating for more characters and representation of their identity because it means something more to them, because it's more special to them. It's not as common to see them, for them to see themselves represented in media.
Tell you what M&ms are, right? M&ms are that good snack that after, you just fucking had a smoke session with your friends or something, you can eat a whole bag of family peanut M&ms together and feel shame. You get a little packet of M&ms for Halloween, they're awesome, right? You get the little tube with the, like, fun-size M&ms, it's suddenly the greatest chocolate ever made. But it's not because of what type of shoes or clothes or whatever the fucking fake fictional cartoon M&M characters are wearing, right? I don't know if I'm in maybe the minority of people being advertised to here.
So I want to point this out, by the way. The only reason that this is being talked about in the way that it was is because the corporation behind M&Ms knows what was going to happen. You realize that changes like this and actions done by corporations like this are made with the agreement of massive, like, board meetings of a shit ton of investors who all have a very, very strong financial interest in making sure the company makes as much money and has the best prices possible. These are not decisions that are made lightly. These are not decisions that were made by some intern on a Twitter account. These were very strategic, surgically decided, decisions made by a board council of investors. And what they decided, what they knew would happen by looking at data from other corporations and companies doing similar things, is that if they made this change, they would see two things happen. The right would lose their shit, and everybody on Twitter would be talking about M&Ms and the redesign, either defending it, arguing against the right, or people on the right getting mad about it and starting a moral panic about it. People contributing to this whole narrative, granted I'm doing exactly that as well, although I'm responding to this person, responding to it, you're only doing exactly what these corporations want you to do. Any press is good press, and you are literally just, I wouldn't be surprised if this company is seeing like a drive up in their stock price as we speak.
But that kind of thing just simply doesn't matter to me.
And again,
really
the economy's
fucked
right now, so maybe it's dropping like everything else.
If M&Ms were fucking disgusting, I wouldn't eat them. And it has nothing to do with their advertising. M&Ms, it's already a household name. You look at these M&Ms and you already know what they are. Like the characters, you already automatically identify what they are. They're that identifiable. It's a great advertising strategy, to be honest. Because if you recognize the character, you automatically recognize the product because they are the little chocolate pieces. But they say that this is a cue that people really pick up on. I don't know, man.
Okay, so I'm gonna do like the most defensible. Like, okay, are there some people at the M&Ms Corporation that actually care about this? That like genuinely, like some workers that did the art and the design for these characters that genuinely do care about this? I'm sure they do. I'm sure, like unironically, they do, right? Like even video games, right? Like Naughty Dog, for example, pretty progressive, like theming in like The Last of Us, for example. In Naughty Dog games, some amount of that is probably corporate decision making to represent like LGBT characters for like profit. Some amount of that is certainly that, but certainly a shit ton of the devs and writers and people working on the game, as just one example, actually do care about that representation and are putting some amount of love and effort into that representation, and it's not just like tokenism to them. Well, it may be to whatever corporate overlords made that decision in order to, profit off of virtue signaling to the more progressive audience, right? Because, obviously these corporations know what they're doing. It is not financially profitable to be homophobic, racist, etc. Typically, you're going to make more money and drive up sales if you advocate for progressive ideas, even if it's just empty, worthless, meaningless virtue signaling.
Guy, right? Like they could put the yellow guy in a pair of Yeezy Boost 350s. Woo! It's not going to make me buy any more M&Ms than I already would, okay? And, like, honestly, bro, you could put the red M&M in an Optimus hoodie, like like a Go-Yard belt on his waist, right? You could do anything, right, to cater to streetwear and foot appeal and whatnot. It's not going to make me buy any more M&Ms if he's wearing some, like, high-top Jordans. And it seems like what they've done is they've overpromised a little bit with the changes, and people kind of have, like, this wrong perception of what's happening here, and they think that, forced diversity is getting shoved down their throat and whatever else they're going to say about that. So
wait, is he actually taking like a decent opinion on this? Is he actually making fun of the people losing their shit about it? Hold on, wait. Optimus redemption arc?
The male characters also have minor footwear changes, including new laces. These changes have already been rolled out online. M&M's packaging will be updated later this year, CNN wrote. Vincent also addressed the gender imbalance in the chocolate character lineup in a statement to CNN. There are 2 female characters and 4 male ones. Adding 2...
This is very cringy, to be fair. Okay, like it is really cringy the way they're talking about it. But like, notice how we here in the chat laughing about this and making fun of the wording here, our jokes and poking fun at this company doing this is very different than what the right is doing. The right is genuinely offended and starting a moral panic over this. We're just making fun of the fact that this corporation, this soulless corporation, is trying to shill towards like progressive movements and LGBT people and whatnot in order to make more money.
2 new female characters is more problematic because it would mean adding 2 permanent colors to the mix. Instead, the company said it will give its female characters a more prominent place in the ads to give a little bit more gender balance, Vincent said, per CNN. The changes to the footwear of the female characters reflect broader societal shifts. Sales of high heels were declining at a rapid rate even before the pandemic as women increasingly favor more comfortable styles such as sneakers. All right, this is weird to me, right? Because I never figured that people would really care about the fucking gender of the cartoon M&M characters. But this is actually something up for debate. So
the right cares.
There's a
Conservatives
problem
are
because
mad.
there's 4 male M&Ms, right? And there's only 2 female ones. But I don't know if it's just...
Wait, hold on. To be clear, can we like go through the line of events that are occurring here? Because the way that Optimus is wording it makes it feel as though this is like something to blame the left for in a negative way. Okay, let me walk you through the line of events that seems to have occurred here, okay? With no provocation or prompting whatsoever, this company decides to make the decision to redesign these characters for insert virtue signaling progressive reasoning, right? And then conservatives responded to that by freaking out and starting a moral panic over it and losing their minds and getting offended. And now the left has responded to that by making fun of conservatives who are getting offended about it. Does it like, I feel like there's an implication of, at least in the tone and the decision of the words that Optimus is using, the implication to me feels like, and I may be wrong, this may not be Optimus's intention, but I'm just going to say this, it feels like he's arguing like, why did this need to be done in the first place? Almost like a rhetorical question being asked toward the left, rather than recognizing the obvious answer being, all it is a corporation shilling for like progressive ideas because it'll make them more money. This isn't the left's fault. This is, if anything, this is an opportunity solely to dunk on the right, because they are the only ones doing anything unreasonable or worth making fun of in this whole situation, are conservatives.
It's me, but the 2 female ones are the most memorable ones because M&M's is trying to get everyone to fuck the like female M&M's. Like, dude, if you go online, you will read some of the most vile, inhumane shit ever written by humans ever. And it's all about what they would do to the green M&M. I am even guilty of talking about the green M&M, okay? Yeah, you could say, caught Opti in 4K. Oh, we got Opti in 4K, bro. I own it. I said that shit. I said it years ago. You're telling me that this is not the most memorable M&M, right? Like, the yellow one's kind of dumb. Maybe you can pick up on that, I guess. But, dude, the female ones are already the most memorable ones. So I guess, really, it doesn't hurt their strategy because, well, they're already the 2 most memorable ones. Might as well show them off more. But honestly, man, this just doesn't seem that important. So
Optimus out here
is a little bit of a shorter video here, but I think the point is across, you know? I don't...
Ah, shit, that's the end of it. Wait, like, okay, I'm sorry. This is just a broad criticism. I feel like nothing was said in this video. Am I like the only one that feels that way? Do you feel like it doesn't feel like Optimus made a single argument in this video? There's still like a little bit of time left to it, so I guess I'll let the whole thing play, but I think it's just going to be all outro.
Don't understand exactly why this is such a big deal. Mars probably did more hurt than good by kind of saying they were doing all these things that in reality they didn't even do that much. So with that being said, man, I want to read your guys' comments down below. Are you mad that M&Ms are changing the shoes of the characters? Okay. Do you think the green...
Yeah, I feel like there was really no take here, right? Like, there's just really, like, no opinions being said. When can he be redeemed? Okay, let's not meme the redemption thing was a meme, okay? The redemption thing was a clear joke. Let's not actually, like, make it unironic, okay? It's just a fucking joke. Yeah, I feel like nothing was really said here, right? Like, this is my problem with a lot of this type of content, you know? It's like... I don't feel like creators like this are entirely capable of responsibly covering anything that's politically charged, you know? Like, either they end up having a bad take on it, or they just express what happened in a somewhat, I wouldn't say uninformed, but like lazily sort of presented way, I guess. A way that doesn't really perfectly represent how things are going in this whole discourse, and then kind of leaves it at that. I don't know. Enlightened centrism. It does feel a little bit enlightened centristy. Like, it's like he's so close. Like, he sees what's happened. He's like saying, why is this a big deal? You know, like he kind of said that. But I feel like he's so close to recognizing, oh, this is reactionaries causing a moral panic over nothing. They do this all the time. This is a pattern. And maybe it's worth calling out just as much as like SJWs doing insert thing that he's criticized SJWs for doing, right? Although he did make a video called Crypto Bros Want to Ruin Video Games, so that's pretty based, huh? The crypto scene is really fucking up the gaming industry right now. Like, not being able to get graphics cards and all that shit has really fucking sucked. Anyway, If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, subscribe, ring the bell icon, follow all my social media, link down below, including my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, fan Discord, where I hang out with you guys, play video games, even do watch parties. You know, it's just a fun community, free to join, link down below. You can also support me financially if you want to help me, make sure I can pay my bills and feed my cat by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub if you got the money for it over in my website. We got a lot of white names in chat today because the viewer count is high, so maybe we'll get a few gifted subs, get a few, a little bit of white name genocide. And of course, finally, if you got the money for it and you want to support me on other platforms, you can do it through YouTube, you can do it through through Streamlabs, and you can do it through Patreon. But no matter how you support my content, whether it be through a like, a view, a comment, or even a financial donation, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and have a good one.